How do I do it? How do I keep living my life after I went through abuse? Hi everyone, my name is Keisha. I'm also known as Auntie Shaw. Today I'm going to be your auntie. I want to be real with you and I also want to sit down and talk with you. So sit down, have yourself a water or juice, maybe a little bit Pepsi. Never really had anyone to talk to about the abuse that I went through as a kid. I never really seen any role models or anyone talk about sexual abuse. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be real with you all. I was abused when I was around 9 years old to 12 years old. I was also re victimized in my early 20s, and I want to share with you all how I dealt with it. So, when I was a kid, I did the interview with the police, went through all of that. It was very overwhelming because I had to sit in a room with a cop next to me while they asked these questions. And when I was a kid doing this, all those flashbacks just came back at me and triggers. So it was very overwhelming to experience that, especially sharing my story at a young age. So I went through all of that. Then my mom got me the support that I needed. I went to therapy right away. I didn't find like one therapist right away. I had to like go to multiple of them to actually feel comfortable and share my own story. So that took a while. But eventually, I did find a therapist that understood me and I felt comfortable with them. It did take a while though, but I did manage to find one. I also went to the doctor as a kid, got prescribed some antidepressants, but my mom didn't really want me to rely on these things, especially when it's supposed to, make me happy or numb it. I don't even know. I didn't even last a week on them. So my mom didn't want to go that route because she didn't want me to get like addicted to pills and stuff like that or any kind of addiction from that. So we didn't go that route. My mom even put me in a support group in the city. So the support group was a sexual abuse support group. I was around other females that went through similar situations I did, and it was very different. I was the only indigenous kid there, and I had my mom beside me because I was still like a kid. I was overwhelmed. People got to me. I went there a few times, and after that, I'm just like, I don't think this is meant for me because I didn't really connect with the other people that were there. I had all these support systems. My family supported me. My mom was always there. I had to live with flashbacks when I was a kid because I would always like dream about it. Certain noises, certain smells always triggered me or just like threw me back and put me into that whole situation again. And I had to live with that. My mom was always there beside me every time like I'd have a flashback and she'd take me out of these situations where we were out in public. So she did her best to help me get that support so I can heal my inner self. It's still emotional because I never realized how much my mom did for me and how much of a support she actually is. So that's just like my gratitude for her. As I was growing, I was going through high school, then I went into university. So during those times, I stopped seeing a therapist. I'm like, okay, I think I can handle life on my own. Then I did. I got into my first actual relationship, shacked the fuck up for about almost 6 years. It was my first love. So they were helping me get through my triggers, my flashbacks, and talking through it with me. Like I was on a healing arc, kinda, with my ex during that time. And they helped me get through a chunk of my life when I needed it. I never knew how much this would affect my future relationships. So, my first love was okay at first, then it just got toxic. And I repeated that cycle for almost 6 years of living with him. That was an experience. I went through a decent amount of trauma with him, even as a couple, and the trauma after the breakup. And I never realized how anxious it made me feel. And once that breakup happened, how avoidant I was. I went through so much shit post breakup. But he helped me. So once that breakup happened, I was in my toxic aunty era. When I say toxic aunty era, that means I had unhealed trauma that I brought into my snake relationships or potential relationships. And that's how I was for like, I want to say almost 2 years. Then once I started my sobriety journey, that's when I started to slow down on being toxic. I actually started to heal my inner wounds and I worked on myself. It's pretty crazy how much time can pass and how like much healing and being on a standstill goes by. Through like that past relationship, I realized that the flashbacks decreased, the triggers decreased because I was working my way through it. I was learning on how to cope in a healthy way because I used to use drinking for my coping mechanism. I wanted to feel numb, I didn't want to feel shit at all. And that's what I did for at least like 1.5 to 2 years of my life. And during like those 1.5 to 2 years of my life, that's where I got re-victimized in when I was drinking. The re-victimization is another story. I did share it on my social media before, but I feel like that's like a whole other video. How I started to heal from the re-victimization is I went to therapy. I did my research this time and I found like a whole list of therapists and I researched them, went through that whole list researching a therapist till I found one person. Then I went to this therapist for a while. She was a non Indigenous Caucasian lady and she was good. She was really great for a bit. She just said something a little racist comment about her and her staff being at a powwow, but the powwow was just like a social for them. And I got so offended from that. I'm like, fuck this, I'm not gonna come back. Then I just never went back. I canceled all my future appointments, and that was that. So, fast forward a couple months, almost probably a year later, I was going through it mentally. I was struggling financially. I was in a shitty job, toxic environment. And I was also even talking to a shitty ass person. Holy, I never realized how much awareness you can gain through all of this, I guess. And it's crazy because it wasn't long ago. It was probably at least 2 years now, like a year and a half, when I was in that position where I just felt real shitty, vulnerable, and I just wanted to give up on life. Then I just said, fuck it. As if I have to feel this way, I need to go look for a therapist. I found one. She was an Indigenous woman. She was resilient. She went through similar shit than I did. And what like stuck out to me is she was driven. She wanted to help people and she had like this whole business of how she could help people. Anyways, I stuck with her, but there's like cons to it. I have allergies. They like to use the sprays and scents, so I was allergic. I'm allergic to that, so I just like I can't sit through this anymore. I'm sorry. So I just never went back. Anyways, I read books, I listen to podcasts, I do what I can to work on myself. It's a journey, I'm not gonna lie, but it does get easier. You make that choice on which path you want to take. You can bottle it up by drinking your life away or having some kind of addiction, or you can take a different path where you want to utilize healthy habits instead of these bad habits that the intergenerational trauma continues to do. I'm that auntie that decided to break the cycle, to choose the sobriety route, and to be real, to be open, and to feel my shit without relying on a negative coping mechanism. I want you all to know that you are able to heal, you are able to work through the shit that you went through. If you are over the age of 18, an adult, remember you are responsible for your own journey. You are the creator of your life. So you make those choices on how you can better yourself or what you can do. I know my life is different to yours. So how I heal, how I work on myself is going to be different to yours. But just remember that the more stuff you pile in, the more stuff you bottle the fuck up, it's only going to be there until you explode. So you make that choice on how you better yourself. I hope this video helps. And if you all like the content and you want to see more, especially of this kind of topic, or if you just need Auntie to lecture you, let me know and give me a comment. I will see you on the next video.